something wrong. And so,
Yeah. So are you at work somewhere?
yes, I am. I work at Burlington Hospital. So I took all my breaks from yesterday and put them into today, but if I get paged somewhere, I'm the chaplain. So.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm not sure, have we met before?
I don't think so.
All right, excellent.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Can I put an actual name to the number?
Sure, Lisa. That would be great.
Great, thanks, Lisa. I will make a note of that. How are you? Hey, Anna.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. All right, we're just gathering here. That's great. And I'm so new to this, I don't know if we're actually doing an hour or an hour and a half, so maybe somebody can educate me.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
And if I can check the email too.
No, that's okay. I'll look at it, but not a problem. Anyway, welcome, Daniela.
Hi, thank you.
How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yes, this is super fun. I'm a guest host for the App Think Tank. So we'll give it just a couple more minutes, but in advance of that, I think it would be awesome if you could share a bit of your background and kind of what you're up to, and more importantly, what today's topic is: social media and social media activities, specifically using a tool called AIMI. AIMI stands for Artificial Intelligence Marketing Information. And I'll give you some background on myself as well, but love to hear about each of you. And we'll start with Lisa, since she might have to come and go fast. Tell us about yourself, Lisa.
My name's Lisa. I'm a hospital chaplain, and I finally got my app completed. It's called Generating Peace, and it's the only instrument that has all the peace prayers of all the world's traditions in the palm of your hand. And also has the art of spiritual peacemaking lessons in it. So a daily lesson. So I'm really excited, and I've gotten some really good feedback in the beta testing process. So
that is awesome. Well, congratulations on that. And your target audience for your app is anybody and everybody?
Well, it's perfectly acceptable for everyone. It's most people say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize other traditions prayed for peace too. So it really is nice that people that really want to be a presence of peace in the world and to be a peacemaker. So just an opportunity to come together as a community.
Yeah, it's great. It's great that you're such a beautiful heart and you're sharing that in an app world. So yay.
Oh, thank you. Takes one to know one.
Well, pleasure. So how about Anna? Do you want to share with us briefly what you're up to and socially where you spend your time?
Okay, well, I am the founder of a dating app. I know there's like a million out there right now, but this is a unique dating app. I'm a breast cancer survivor, almost 9 years. And with all the treatment and everything that happened, it can cause lack of libido. And I was married for 20 years. I got divorced, and I was like, well, what am I going to do now with lack of libido and trying to find someone that would understand my issue? So I created a dating app for men and women that have sexual dysfunction or sexual limitations. So they don't have to worry about going on a date or meeting somebody new and having to tell them, I can't have intercourse, or they still desire other forms of intimacy, but it's just they can't have intercourse, and it just kind of weeds out all the people that find that as a priority in their relationship. So, and I launched the end of August. I have a whole 29 users. I mean, it's hard to reach out to or find the right market for this, because I have to go to cancer centers, and some of them is not cancer related, their conditions, but I'm excited. I'm going to hopefully help a lot of people that have been living in silence about their condition.
Well, outstanding. Well, I would love to offer you up my my youngest daughter. Actually, the oldest daughter, Megan, is a cancer survivor, and she has similar sort of challenges. She had a kind of hysterectomy. She was 2 years old, and
oh my gosh.
She has now adopting kids, but she and her husband is just a great guy. She's seen similar things. She's very difficult chance she can't actually have intercourse at all. So a little awkward topic, but I've got that, and my partner Karen is a cancer survivor as well. So we have great communities, great support communities that I would be love to introduce you to people in my world.
Oh yeah,
Would
absolutely.
love to connect with you, and certainly it's a wonderful place that you're doing. So
Thank
finding
you.
social and finding ways to create activities, and we'll talk about that as well. So we'll lean
Thank
into
you.
that. Thanks, Anna. And I do think we did connect on through Nancy, I think at some point.
Yes,
So,
we did. Mm-hmm.
yeah, thank you. I apologize
Yeah.
for not recognizing you.
Oh no, it's okay.
Awesome. Danella, tell me about you and what you're doing.
Hi, everybody. I work for myself. Over the last couple of years, kind of pivoted a little bit and decided to start off helping out someone that was working on several startup companies down here based in South Florida, and now has branched out to several different clients that all have apps or small startup companies, not-for-profits, and I work with them strategically on their marketing and engagement pieces. So social media is a big part of that.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for that frame of reference. And yes, I'm a startup guy, 18 startup companies. So 5 have been my own. So I love making things happen from scratch. But now I know what not to do because I've done it a long time and I'm old. See, I'm in what we call mature status. So yes, great. Thank you for having you. Stacy, tell us a little bit about you and how we can support you and what you're up to. You're on mute, Stacy.
I started my company about 2019, and it's been kind of gradually coming to the forefront of hello. It's called Survive Society, and it's adulting 101. I feel sometimes we all young adults, and even at my age, I need a refresh, or I don't know something that I just kind of want to learn that they didn't have in school. So I thought I would just, help my community. So.
Excellent. And what do you do socially? Do you social media wise? Are you a Facebooker and LinkedIn, Instagram kind of personality? Maybe you can each tell me or put in chat where you spend your time on social media. That'd be great.
Okay, for sure.
Awesome. Okay. Well, again, my name is Lorenzo Hickey. I'm standing in for Nancy. Nancy and I have met within the last year, about a year ago, and we are partnering on all kinds of activities. She is helping me with a brand called Act Now, which I may share a little bit of that. It's actors casting technology, which we basically started up from nothing with the idea of creating Travelocity for actors. So we do a lot of postings, a lot of fun there. So I'll share that. So those postings, just to give you an example of what we do. And then we also are working together in collaboration with several of joint clients. We're also working with other clients on our own, and we are basically both mobile centric. I have been working in mobile platforms for about 5 years now. I've been a digital agency for 10. And so my world and how I think is everything digital and creating opportunities for our clients to grow and expand. And we consider ourselves kind of an added resource. So you're going to get that perspective, that filter. How can we help you find different ways to support yourselves and your businesses? But also what I like to say and what I really like to believe in is how do we help you help your clients, right? Or your customers or whomever. And that's really the vision behind my company. The brand, primary brand is Shape Shift World, where we say you have to shift the way you think to shape your world. And one of my favorite taglines, just to get it out of the way, I grew up in construction. The ladies in my family all grew up in nursing and healthcare. And so I basically say I'm a business general contractor. So I tell our clients, you do what you do best and we'll do the rest. Or in this case, we'll find the right resources for you. So appreciate you being part of here today. I will share my screen and start doing a little bit of kind of conversation. Before I do that, have everyone come up and let me know where you are in the journey around AIMI. How many know about AIMI? How many have just hearing about it for the first time? So maybe either a thumbs up if you already know about AIMI on the reaction scenario, or personally, okay, great. And if you haven't, we'll kind of dive into that. So a couple of things that are important. So I'm going to share some resources that are relevant. So AIMISocial Nancy will have given you, or I should have given you a link or access to her her page. But AIMISocial basically is a artificial intelligence and marketing information. Amy is a female, and you know, that's what means she's smart and multitasks. That's what Zach, the founder, and I kind of joke and say, well, she's way better than us and way smarter than us. And she's based on artificial intelligence. And that means that as a tool set, machine learning or learning over and over through repetitive process is really important part of the AIMI world or infrastructure. So there's lots of things to know. I'm going to actually show you the product, but under the website and information, you can learn more about AIMI, see some videos and other things of that nature. But at the end of the day, AIMI is designed to do these major things. AIMI is designed to copyright, design graphics, become an AI strategist, schedule that, pull all that content together, and really make it available mobile. And so this isn't a sales pitch, but this is an intention so you understand the power and the possibility of one of the tools that Nancy and I use regularly. So that's what we're doing today on our masterminding and our workshop. So the rest of it is the product in the company has been around for effectively 5 years. They have over 750,000 posts that they've made over time. And as a result of that, they are really getting key in on how to really bring this to the next level. In the last 2 months, the product has evolved to a desktop version, which I'm going to show you. I can also show you the mobile version, but all functionalities in the desktop is also available mobile. The other thing that you should know as far as a resource is AIMI.education. This is actually me. We have partnered with Zach and Pre-Built Marketing to provide training on a global basis. We have trainings every Tuesday at 4 p.m. that are free, designed to create engagement, create ideas. And today we're actually going to go over the Instagram release because Instagram was launched last week on Friday. And so the ability to have square images and connect to Instagram is all part of that. So we're going to train on that today. You'll get a little bit of that in our morning session, but it's AIMI.education. And let me go ahead and go back to kind of logging in. So AIMI as a tool set and as a solution is designed, and we're going to actually speak to each one of your categories of information, is designed to be used by multiple users. I act as an agency. I'll also act as, I have multiple brands of my own business. So one of the things that you want to take away from this idea is that you can actually have multiple lines of business. So I'm going to give you a quick sort of rundown on the cornerstones or the pillars around AIMI. And then we're going to talk about each of your businesses with context around how and what you would do to create social media posts. Does that sound okay? Kind of like mini hot seats? You're up for that? So it's really about helping you understand the possibilities. And there are many, many different ways to post. So first and foremost, it's really important in the concept of AIMI perspective is there's this concept of a business profile. So I think in the case of Lisa, you have a primary business and you're gonna focus primarily on one business profile, but you might have different business strategies. So one of the things that when we look at as a profile, the way I'm going to try to sort of design it for you is a profile might be a business strategy. So you're posting about general confirmation, your certain colors and brands, but that's why you would use a business profile. And that's why you would have more than one. Even though you're one business, you might separate it out. So think of it in that context, because ultimately what we're building is some flexibility, and I'll come back to that. Additionally, the second pillar of the AIMI solution set is calendars. And so the way that I craft this, by the way, I'm a recovering accountant. I used to do project management. So I've done global projects for PR, media firms, and others around the world. I also was an executive vice president at Mitsubishi Bank. So I'm basically a transformation specialist, turned entrepreneur. Again, going to go back to the world. So what I'm sharing that with you is that when we build calendars, there's a one-to-one relationship. And I have a graphic that I'm in the process of building to make sense out of this. But basically, for every business profile, we typically have a business calendar. and we're going to come back to you again, because I don't want to teach you or train you on AIMI. I want to get into your specifics of how we can support, how AIMI could support you, or how you could see posting. But the second component of AIMI, the second pillar of the three-legged stool, if you will, is the calendar. And calendars are traditional. Hey, it's 30 days in a month. What days do I want to post? An example of something for a calendar would be, I have an event every the 15th of every month. And so your calendar would be on the front end of that for you, or your clients would be loading up saying, hey, from the 1st of the month, I want my post to the 14th of the month to be calls to action to that particular event. And in that context, we'd have a profile that relates to that, a calendar that relates to that. So that's kind of a one-to-one, taking a strategy and aligning that with a calendar, which then third component of that aligns it to a campaign library. So inside of calendars, when we open up calendars, we have the calendar settings, but it really ultimately gives me a campaign library, which is all the different campaigns that are associated with AIMI. So we'll put that into context here in just a second. So I'm going to go to my business profiles, and I'm going to walk you through. If you were building a profile around being social and using social media, this is kind of an example. If I open this up and show the business profile, a couple of really key things. One is that you have 3 or 4 steps in every kind of flow, which is, this is about a business. So if I'm looking at step 1 in that business, what's the name of the business? What's the company name that's going to show up? What are the preferences I want to use? Do I want to use text and hashtags? And believe me, when we do advanced training, we talk about hashtag strategies and all kinds of other things. And then what's my URL link, or what's my social link? If I have a compliance issue, I can add a special link, append to everything. So I think in the case of the sort of the ministry type of activities that you spoke of, Lisa, we would want to talk about having something that's a consistent message, that or a consistent link that's always tied to maybe support and support services or calendaring. So you would want to append to that strategy, but then you have a general sort of, here's our constituents, here's how you get a hold of us. So you can do lots of things like that. And so this is all based on preferences. Where it gets really fun for each of you and each of your clients is you have the ability to control brand colors, images, and logo strategies. So in this case, AIMI, I do posting around AIMI, so I got brighter colors, right? So these are actually not my company brand colors, but they're colors that I wanted to create spontaneity and brightness on side of the world of the post for AIMI. And then learning, this is really cool to think about. And again, for those of you who've done social posting and are actively engaged in that process, imagine you're teaching somebody, the artificial intelligence, AIMI, to do this, to do posting. You have the ability to do 4 sample posts, and you have the ability to do those same sample posts of over 280 for Facebook, LinkedIn, and under 280 for Twitter. So basically the tool set gives you the ability to create different samples, different variations of learning. All this is doing is setting the tonality, the sentiment, and the strategies that AIMI is using to create the social media posts. But AIMI will create thousands of different combinations of options, and that's the beauty of this, thousands of different pieces. So just want you to understand that business profiling is a big part of AIMI initially. And when we talk about business profiling, we're talking about kind of what is your business, what are the colors and brand colors, and in general, linking information. The other thing that relates to this, but I didn't tell you, is your social network. So I'm going to just share with you today, that literally today, is Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter. So if your business either has multiple Facebook pages you manage, so I think as Danielle has that situation where you might have multiple pages, you can actually manage multiple pages here in one account, and you can manage all of your clients' pages, right? So that's kind of how we work as an agency. In the case of Anna, when you're doing dating, you can have different pages for each of your respective your line of business in your dating business, but you might have some cases where you have an ancillary or other groups that you post to because one of the things that you're going to want to do is find groups inside of Facebook and LinkedIn that are like-minded, that have similar challenges, personal and professional challenges that you want to share. So you could also add the other groups that you might have, if that makes sense. Like, because you're not going to you're not going to live and only play in one space. And so AIMI lets you post into those. So in the next coming weeks, assuming all these things work out the way they're supposed to, there'll be Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups. Okay, so one of the things that's really important for you is you start to look at the possibilities for your businesses and your expansion, is you really want to start thinking about, how do I get into those groups? And there's a whole nother conversation I'd love to come back and talk to you about. And that is group strategy and group dynamics, so that you can actually get into these groups, create followers, create opportunities, because to drive traffic to your businesses, right? And there's both proactive and there's reactive, and we do a lot of things around that. So I want to share those as possibilities. But why is that important? Because in today's conversation, if I have the ability socially to get to these different groups, then I have ability to then start creating connections, or in other social words I would use, I'm creating influencers, right? So I'm actually being able to create influencers that people can help me, or help to find their audiences, and also kind of create what I would call is a joint venture leverage point, right? So each of you has great opportunity to not only help your communities, but also create unique strategies with other people and other partners that can then help you grow your business, and vice versa, you could help them grow their business. So one of the greatest things about today's world and today's marketplace is almost everybody's trying to collaborate first or give first. So how do I give first? How do I collaborate first? How do I do that? And based on that, then there's the longer term opportunity. So posting to multiple Facebook accounts, and for every business, so let me be very clear here. AIMI specifically only posts to Facebook business pages and Instagram business pages. So how many know, raise your hands, how many know that Facebook or others don't let you post to personal pages? Right? No automated posting to personal pages, right? So sometimes that's a shocker. But even me, when I first started this, I thought, well, why not? Well, the why not is, can you imagine every one of your personal pages being just sort of spammed with, oh, what about me? What about me? And it's not real, it's not authentic, right? We're all gonna kind of get challenged with that. So so the social networks across the board have pretty much said, hey, it's a business, you're in a business, great, we can share that. So, and that's interesting because LinkedIn currently posts to your LinkedIn personal account. Go figure, right? But what's coming is LinkedIn groups, which in LinkedIn groups, of course, is a whole nother ethos as well, but just know that. And then Twitter, you can have multiple Twitter accounts, and so you can actually access multiple Twitter accounts here. Who is an active Twitter user in this community? Anybody love and spend a lot of time on Twitter? Okay. Right, and that makes sense for you, Anna, because that's where you should get the kind of the quicker, more effective use of people and kind of retweets, because people are very interested in trying to figure out, how do I get this information? How do I create relationships? How do I date? Those are all kind of good Twitter kind of examples. Okay, so important to just understand that, because there's literally lots of flexibility. So I'm gonna see if I can do this. I'm not sure what has happened here. Let's see, let me just kind of do this real quick and see if I can make this happen. And the reason I'm showing you this, I'm going to show it to you a couple of little different ways. But in my profile, my social network profile, I have all of these Facebook pages that either are my pages, one of my customers, or my customers' pages, or brand name pages. And now I've got my Instagram connections on my two different pages. So Shapeshift World has a Shapeshift World Instagram page. Act Now has an Act Now Instagram page. So I literally have the ability to connect to those. So just super important that you understand that as you're building these pages out, it's the same thing. Now that Facebook is up today, we can do this. So I'm going to show you that same sort of experience, hopefully, inside of Facebook. So if you look at the pages that I manage, these are all the different pages that I have access to, that I had the same access to them inside of AIMI. So it's really cool to see, how this works out. The reason I take a little extra time here is I want you to think about one other really cool idea. So one of the greatest concepts about having these meetings is, how do we create some cool tips? So for those of you who haven't thought of this before, and for those of you who have, good on you. But the idea of creating a template page where you can take posts, whether you're using a tool like AIMI or you're doing any social media posting, that create a template page that lets you actually post information. So I have a template page or a Facebook page called Shapeshift Templates. And literally when I create posts in all my business and all my customers and everything I do, I'll post it to this template page. Okay, why do I do that? Is because basically, and this one happened on October 2nd at 7 a.m., I can post, I play, I build examples, I test, I kind of do sandbox stuff, and I can post everything in here. And this is an interesting one because this is the new look and feel, but this is a post. And again, this is kind of tied to strategy, and I'm trying to help create creative thinking here. This post is tied to a gentleman who is a basketball stats aficionado. The name is Jazz. And so we were doing a training a couple of weeks back, and I said, hey, let's just play. Let's do it. Let's do a training. And I said, what do we need to do? What are you trying to do, Jazz? And he says, well, I'm a blogger. Right. So and a couple of things that are coming up, if you're a blogger or you have blogged, really important is that AIMI actually lets you take your blog post, your entire inventory of blogs, and feed those in to your posting strategies. So I'll seed this. You can also do that with any public blog. So if you have an influencer or a follower, and I think especially for Anna or Daniela, in your world, and Stacy maybe a little bit, I've got to have a deeper conversation with you. But in those cases, you can find blogs that are really tied to your niche and your like-minded communities, and bring those blogs into your posts. Why do you do that? Because at the end of the day, you want to be seen as an influencer, an authority. And by the way, AIMI doesn't post all about, hey, here's a product, here's a product, here's a product. AIMI posts about all these other things, which you'll hear about. Conversation starters, did you know, questions, that kind of stuff. So back to why I'm here. The idea of blogging was something. He goes, well, what do I do? And I said, well, let's create a post with blogs. And what I want you to see is the beautiful side of this. So this is an image I uploaded. AIMI, as a graphic tool, took this graphic and image, took the headline from a blog post, and basically made it a headline inside of this here. So think differently about your blogging expert, Jazz, and have things your way. And so we, it's kind of a combination of my brand, his brand, but we did that as a test. But in this template area, Shapeshift Templates, I have all of these different brand templates that are shared information. So now when I'm talking to somebody like yourselves, I'm going like, well, here's a did you know, right? It's just a conversation starter. Did you know these things? Here's a couple more did you knows. There's a bunch of them apparently. Have you heard of Compass? This is a question, conversation starter. Another did you know? Here's a social media post, right? So using social media images. So all of these are created. Here's that same image that I was created with a different example with a different graphic. So I'm just trying to share with you the possibilities of AIMI. Just like she builds thousands of possibilities. And at the end of the day, coolest part about all this, you get to decide. Do I like it or do I not like it? I schedule or I don't schedule. So let's come back to that. So what we were talking about here is the ability to have a business profile combined with a calendar. So let's go into this AIMI calendar and just notice that right now I'm looking at this calendar. But if I wanted to take I have no idea. Here's another calendar, all AIMI. So I'll just bring this up. And so notice when I brought that version of the calendar up, it's also related to social media posting. But notice all of these different posting pieces are history. And this is August. Let's see if I have anything in September. So I haven't built September's calendar. So it's kind of fun. So we can actually build a calendar. But what I'm trying to share with you is key, is that notice that all of these different posts, when I go to a calendar, I see different sets of libraries. So let's come back to the basics. I have a business profile, right? So I'm a dating site, or I have a client, or I have a community that I want to engage with. So that's going to be a business profile. I'm going to assign it to a calendar. And then on that calendar settings, I'm going to open up and take that calendar and create a bunch of different posts. But those posts are tied to my campaign library, which is the third piece of that stool. And notice that that AIMI as a tool automatically builds, and it's really key, builds promotions, builds quotes, did you know, conversation starters, and social media tips. So when I am building out a campaign library, these are the next layer of what I would use call to action is the word. Right. So one sort of category is I'm just sharing information in quotes to create some unique posts. But then I'm also having the ability to add a campaign that, if I just put in the test here, that has start dates and end dates to the end of the month. And AIMI posts monthly. But what's really important is this next message is that, and basically you say I'm in a wizard, I'm in a campaign editor, and here's all the things I need to do in my campaign, which is the more robust. But this is the next message for each one of you. So I'm going to do a little hot seat kind of conversation with each of you. And so ask you to come back off of mute, and we'll kind of go in the reverse order. And Tia, we'll talk to you in a second just to get to know you. But Lisa, if you could please just share with me the type of what would be your primary thought or idea of engagement or call to action if you're doing a social media post. What does that feel like to you? Is it a awareness category? Is it a monthly meeting?
Well, it'd be more like prayer requests.
Prayer requests, okay.
Or or sharing, opportunities to gather in peace, like if there's peace events or. Okay.
All right. So if I'm looking at my business, I'm a retail business, I have the ability to create stores and advertising, product launch, sales or products. So I'm going to share this with everyone as we get into this. As I can market a service or sale on service or a new office location if I'm looking at service businesses. But what I'm seeing it from your standpoint is a content blog or a video or an episode or a podcast. So this is for those of you who are very social. AIMI will build these kinds of activities. And I'm just solving for you with in scenario here. Here's a webinar, expo, concert, or class. So what I think would be pretty interesting, and I don't know if you're doing this, this is kind of both a question and an answer for you. But Lisa, are you doing weekly or semi-monthly events where you're bringing people together in a group dynamic?
Just started last Wednesday.
Okay. So I would call that a webinar or an expo or a seminar. And my brand with you would be really focused on, on prayer awareness, right? And how the magnitude of prayer, and I'm making things up, but I'm also trying to get the light bulb to go on for you differently maybe. But, so you're doing this, so you're having a grouply meeting, and what you're doing is considering it kind of like a mini mastermind. So like a little bit of explanation about what you do, and a little bit of an explanation about, hey, in this process, what we found is, our constituents, our community likes this process or is willing to share prayers or share information, and here's why, and here's how you can contribute if you want to. So sort of a 3-step process where you're sharing a little bit about you, but the ability to post that as a webinar, expo, seminar, concert, or even a class, you can do all that. But these are just categories, right? But the point is, a campaign can be specific to that, right? So when we talked about the campaign calendar business, you could have, here's the business, right? Here's what you're trying, your ministry is about. Here's the activity around an event on the calendar. It's every month, and it's repetitive. So AIMI will build this every month for the same date, the same time. And then you can put it in a category so that auto builds every month. And so that's kind of the time savings kind of thing. So that's what I would suggest is going to make most sense for you. The reason that's important, and I'm going to bring in some other experience here, continuity and consistency of messaging is really key in social media, right? Continuity and consistency of branding is also really key in social media. So one of the things that you're going to want to make sure as you go through this is make sure that you have a kind of a vision and a color scheme and a strategy and a messaging that you can use for the next few months, because we're all really busy. And I want to see it a couple times, and to earn what we call know, like, and trust factor. if you're consistent, people go, oh yeah, Lisa, she's consistent. Her messaging is, I like her messaging. Oh yeah, I watch Lisa. And this literally happens for us. Somebody will say, yeah, I was talking to you 2 years ago, and now I want to talk to you. Like, so consistency is kind of crazy. Does that feel okay? Does that sound right? Why some of the things that make sense to you, Lisa?
It's right on. You're a good listener.
Okay, so cool. So then let's come back to what are we promoting? So there's business or event, so job or membership. So the other thing that's really kind of cool is membership or loyalties for you, Lisa. So I would definitely think about that. Okay, Anna, you're in that same sort of category here, right? So now you've got a membership scenario. So I would be promoting a membership piece. And when you pick up membership, you're basically then sharing different kinds of information. So we were talking about conversation starters, quotes, tips or tricks, or did you know? So I think for you, particularly with your dating site, what I would love to see you start doing is things around tips and did you know, and then some conversation starters. So as you're building out your possibility, quotes are nice, but you're trying to engage a pain point, which sounds awkward to say out loud, but but we all have different pain points, even somebody who's having the challenges that you face and others face in similar situations. So I would say, hey, did you know that there's a community available to you that cares? Right? Did you so it's as a tip, or did you know kind of thing. And so that's how I would frame my did you know posting kind of activities. The tips I would say is, it sounds kind of funny to say it out loud again, because here's a dad guy with 3 daughters, but the tip on building better relationships starts from within, right? So the ability to say, hey, in knowing yourself and looking for the right partner starts from to love yourself is to know yourself and to share with others. So I would do some tips around the idea of, hey, if you're interested in finding out more about yourself, so that you can have a better relationship, because everything around relationships, as we all know, starts with us. So I would do that. And then conversation starters like, hey, do you want to meet somebody that is basically a no holds barred kind of good open person, like an open personality? I would focus on that. Like, in conversations, this is important. Conversations is deep conversations is where we start. And that's kind of how I would brand your business, is really around, that side of it, because your world, and another word I always use for you, Anna, is authentic, right? Mm-hmm. Authentic relationships is where it's at, right? And the other thing that I've been doing for years, and I'd love to share with you, is the concept of elevation, right? So I have 3 brands around elevate, and the brand tagline that I love the most is the power of we elevates me. And in dating and in a relationship, it's the power of we that's going to elevate each other, right? And the new paradigm relationship is about how do we support each other, and that's the new paradigm. We moved in the Aquarian age astrologically in 2016. And so what's really important about relationships is not what can you give me, how much money can you have me, what kind of relationships we can have outside of the world, because what can we do to serve each other and lift each other up? So, that whole rising tide raises all ships. Rising tide raises a relationship too. So just food for thought. But the idea in social is, how do I do tips? And did you know? Because that's the catch point you have to go for, right? Because it's not, I'm different, but it's really, I'm different because you should know, what's happening. What thoughts do you have? Any questions around that?
So like if you click on quotes, what comes up, or are you going to show that later?
Click on quotes. So you can do different quotes around different categories, as well as health and wellness, home. So you can all of these are the different categories for today, but you can also do your own. So what I'm thinking about doing it with you is really doing more the custom side, because these categories around dating, relationships currently not there, but the idea of did you know tips is really kind of the strategy for you.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can do all those things as well. Correct. Okay, so then back to this. And Danielle, you've got a lot of, am I saying your name right? Is it Danielle?
Danielle, yeah.
Danielle, okay, thank you, sorry. I got a Daniela, so I always go that, so my apologies. So no Danielle, worries. With all your businesses, can you see the concept of the variety of potentially just, working with each client differently, right? So sometimes it's an event, sometimes it's content.
Right, exactly, because that some are very event driven or deadline driven, and others are, very much on the, call to action of learning more about a
Mhm.
particular
Yeah.
product.
Yeah,
Or
exactly. Product or
and so
service.
it does vary a bit,
Mhm.
but yes, this is
Yeah, so when you're marketing a service and go to next share steps, you can start filling out the different hashtags and other things that target the service. I will also share with you that there's these call to actions. So one of the greatest things about AIMI, or the downside about AIMI, is that you can turn on all these buttons and you get the post gets massive, right? So it's really kind of constructing the strategy. But on the description of the service, when I turn on mention the service, you can finish the following sentence, basic, our services include, and this is the ability to do custom, right? So even if you're sharing something, you can do our service includes custom messaging. This is going to be great for all of you, especially I think Lisa, and when you talk about the mentioning of what you do in your business is in your prayer business, our services includes basically how do you use the inclusive message, whatever that inclusive message is going to be important for that kind of messaging. So just know that those are all possible. And again, we talked about appending to every post, custom text here. This can be text, it doesn't have to be a message. So you could say our weekly church service on some of your posts, because again, you can build different combinations, our weekly service, but also Danielle, that would be really important to you is when you're starting to brand and do something unique to a client. What's often the greatest thing that we can market socially is what I learned. There's all kinds of different ways to say it, but my terminology when I went to my master's program is called the JND, the just noticeable difference, or in some cases people call it the unique selling proposition, USP. But at the end of the thing, what makes your clients different? And if you can boil that down into a sentence, that's powerful, right? And it's powerful in social media because one of the things I was sharing with everybody is continuity. Right. So if you're consistent in your messaging, whether it's your hashtag strategy up here, which is hashtags, where you're adding your own hashtags, but you've got to be consistent. And so that's one of the things that's really important. So just ideas around your clients. Other questions that you might have around any of that?
No, not at the moment. I've used AIMI a little bit, and
okay.
so I find that some of the custom messaging you kind of need to keep an eye on, because if it's plural or singular and it populates, there may be a little grammatical issue.
That's an evolution, and it's getting better and better every month. And just so you know, I can't remember if I said it out loud, but not only the Instagram came out on the over the weekend, but also some enhancements and some new categories and some other things. So AIMI's constantly learning about itself. So all true. Other thoughts? That's a great comment. And certainly, yes, important to know. You've just always got to look at the posting. We'll look at that as in closing. Who has a hard stop in 20 minutes? I mean, just.
Actually, I do.
Okay, cool. So let's make sure we'll get things started. Thank you, Lisa. I saw your hand. Okay, so any other questions, Danielle? You good for now? All right, you can always reach out to me. All right, Stacy, talk to me. This is where your chance that you remind me a little bit more about where you see your number one business activity right now. Is it awareness? Is it support services for your community? What would you say is your number one kind of goal?
Probably awareness.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually, I'm putting together e-courses right now.
Okay.
Through a can. So I've been
okay.
constantly doing that a lot. I would do like for these ones would be like content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Blogs I need to work on a little bit more. In the future, podcast, and then like little video videos are probably pretty good.
Yeah. So that's great. So I think you're on the right track. I guess from my standpoint in terms of hot seating, I would say for you, the number one thing you can do about awareness is potentially create both a strategy call and refer to a blog article or a call to action where you're actually providing content as a takeaway, maybe a checklist. So, one of the things that you're doing is helping people get organized or being more thoughtful. Just even a personal checklist about self-awareness, right? And by the way, one of the things I haven't said to anybody yet, you have to be looking consistently around There are public license, PLR, public license resources or rights, PLR, public license rights to content. You can spend $30, $40, $50 and get access to courses and classes and articles and other things. So I can share that list with Nancy. But at the end of the day, one of the things you shouldn't get stuck with, AIMI does great because AIMI will do all your creates and posts, but there's also that, hey, I got my business, I need to get some content and some information around that. You can actually publicly license some things there. So that's something I would really encourage you, Stacy, to be thinking about. But then also for all of you, let's go. I'm going to do two more things really quick. Stacey, any questions? Because I'm actually going to come back to you. I'm going to work in an awareness angle here in a second for you and for everybody. But I want to show two more things only because I think it'll be thought provoking. So in this scenario, I'm in a calendar, and I think it's really critical as I look at the idea of articles or libraries. So with the context that we were talking about, this adding an RSS feed, and so the caveat is this: if it's a correctly defined, built RSS feed where it's actually a feed, where it actually is information like a news feed, you can bring it into AIMI as a feed, and you can bring it into AIMI as you can just add your own RSS feed. So as a part of your tool set, this is where I think the business strategy is one. Do you have influencers? Right? Somebody that you already know, like, and trust as an influencer for you that can help you, or your clients have influencers. And you can bring in there if they have a blog feed, and it will basically take all the articles and feed them in. But what's even really more cool, I think, is you can look at them and read them right here and look at the blog post and read it, see all about it, see if you like it. And when you're done with it, you go, oh, that's cool. I'm going to add it to my calendar and add it to a calendar on a date and a time. Why is that important? Because I basically can look at things that are aligned with me. Now, me or my message or my business or my strategy. But what's I think is you take that and sort of double down on it or create the domino effect, is that when you're also taking the article and working with somebody that you really like and trust, again, you're going to create that influencer strategy. You're going to create that lookalike audience strategy, and people will see this because I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but up until even yesterday, there are 2 billion searches a day inside of Facebook alone. There's something like 1.5 billion for LinkedIn and others. So what's happening is that, who's heard of FOMO? Fear of missing out, FOMO? Okay. So back in the day, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people were talking about having a website. And if you didn't have a website, you weren't in business, right? Well, now it's not, if you're not social, you're not in business, right? Because the other thing I teach, I do a lot of teaching around, people will research you almost to the nth degree if they're serious about what they're doing before you actually ever get to talk to them. So continuity in your social media, bringing your brand to life and making it available on social media platforms is no longer a nice to have. It's a must have if you want to be found. Right? And that's why I said 2 billion searches in Facebook, over 1.5 billion in LinkedIn, and of course, YouTube has its own strategy. Currently, AIMI doesn't support video, but if the RSS feed has backlinks to video, and we look at that, and you have your own, this is the coolest tip of the day, I think, for those who want video. If you have a blog feed that all you do, or a YouTube page, where you have a YouTube channel, that's RSS feed, you can actually YouTube channel your RSS feed into AIMI, so your YouTube channel is showing up inside of AIMI. Okay, that's pretty cool, because basically it's an RSS feed, and YouTube supports that 100%. So the tip of the day is, if you want your stuff in your YouTube snippets and your videos, and this, I think this applies almost every one of you, especially, and I know for your clients, but Lisa and Anna, one of the things that's going to make a difference for each of you is for people to see you. And so if you don't already have a YouTube channel, you're going to want to create one. That's Stacy, the same thing. And really what's going to end up happening is people, oh, I like that Stacy. I like her message, right? And it's just like a Facebook Live, but Facebook Lives are personal, right? So you can get Facebook Live and say, hey, go join me on my business page. When they go to the business page, they'll see your post. So it's kind of like a daisy chain thing or domino thing, but that's the strategies that you can use. But being visible and hearing people hear your message, that's critical to your success, right? Or your client's success. And so just know that even in your video snippets and things that you do on a YouTube channel, for example, in your RSS feed, what you'll want to do is just say, hey, we meet monthly. Here's a quick summary of what I do. The other thing, I do a lot of research and a lot of working with a lot of clients. I've been working with this company and this guys that have a product called the Learning Code. And the Learning Code is basically about how to teach people learn and transform how you teach people totally differently. The message I want to leave you with is under the Learning Code, short and sweet, right? When you talk about video numbers, inside anything under 3 minutes is almost too long anymore. Inside of 90 seconds is the right sweet spot, 60 to 90 seconds. But what you're doing, other than being like me and talking a lot, what you want to do is be succinct. You want to say, this is what we do. This is the value that we provide. This is where, this is the kind of thing that if you're interested in it, makes sense. Because the last sort of topic around this RSS feed is you want people to self-select. Because what's social media really about? Besides creating a presence, it's about people knowing enough to make a decision to figure out whether they want to do it or not want to do it. And at the end of the day, there's so much going on out there. If you keep it short, sweet, and let people self-select, you're actually doing both yourselves and your business and your clients a service, as well as you're servicing your opportunities. Because another thing that we had a conversation about yesterday, and this is really off topic, but not, and that is you want to set expectations up front with everybody, your clients, your partners, your customers. Because at the end of the day, because people hear what they want to hear, right? So we got to make that assumption. And so if you're uncomfortable, or you have a process, or you have a costly flow to what you do and how you serve and support, you got to want to make sure that your clients or your prospects or your people are hearing the way you work and that they're in agreement with that, right? So it's not just legal T's and C's, but this is going to keep bubbling up. And so I'm sharing with you something that's come up in the last few months for people, myself included, setting the right expectations and just saying, hey, it's okay. And all this really relates to, and this again, a little bit TMI, but it relates to an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset, right? Who thought social media you'd be talking about abundance and scarcity? But having an abundance mindset is about saying, it will happen and things will happen for a reason. It's going to happen. And as a result of that, I'm going to provide my messaging. I'm going to provide my accountability, and I'll provide everything that I do around creating abundance. And that will make a difference. So in your messaging, that would just be another tip that I would have for you. Okay. Then the other thing that I wanted to do is I don't know if I actually have one here. Let me see if I can do this. Calendar. If I can add a new calendar. So I'm gonna put in Beachbody, and I'm gonna select Beachbody as an industry. So one of the things that's really cool, and this is not so much for every one of us, but as we go along, is that calendars that are tied to enterprises or corporate or associations or churches, which obviously applies to Lisa. One of the things that you're going to want to know is that there is a new ability to take AIMI as a tool set into, what did I do here? Beachbody, where are you? Did you create it? No, where did it go? Well, yeah, it's still working. So created a calendar. So what I just did is created a new calendar around an enterprise solution called Beachbody. Now, Beachbody is a multi-level marketing company, and I'm not sure this is an interesting segue to each of you, but if you think of your business as an affiliate business, right? So Anna, one of the things you might consider in your world is creating affiliate relationships, right? Eventually, not short-term today, but as you build out your opportunity, find other cities and other individuals that are leaders and influencers that want to provide the same service, and you just create a partnership, which creates an affiliation. And so you might look at this as an example of that. And that's the ability to create custom campaigns and libraries. So what I just did is created Beachbody. And the reason I want you to look at this is under Beachbody, when the tool set is really focused on a particular niche. Right. So at some point, these guys are going after insurance and other industries. But this case is a multi-level marketing company around health. But they created campaigns around general information, around success stories, around conversations, trainers in quotes, fitness tips, nutrition, product specific Shakeology, Beachbody on Demand, other fitness programs, challenging packs, gear, apparel, and did you know weight loss. So with the right sort of setup and configuration, and I'm doing this with a couple of other corporate clients and enterprise clients, is we're actually going into that industry set and creating a whole new set of information that shows up. And so this just shows the magnitude and the power of the tool set over time. But these posts could be equivalent to a business profile. These posts here could be equivalent to a campaign strategy or a call to action around a meeting or a webinar or a seminar or a workshop. This post here, really you get effectively 300, 800 or unlimited posts available to you depending on the account and size that you have. That translates, once you've set the system up in general terms, into massive time savings. Massive. I mean, we're talking about an hour or two a month instead of 10 to 20 to 30 hours a month. Why is that important? Because always sounds funny to hear this. Posting, it's just the starting point. That's not even 50% of what it's like to be engaged socially. So, especially for Lisa and Anna, and as you're working to build your marketplace and build your communities, you want to get the post out there so that you can start getting actions and calls and webinars and meetings and other masterminds, and even calling some of your partners and your clients to say, how can I serve you better? So not spending time. So time is our number one commodity. I don't know about you, but there's never enough time. When I can turn the clock back and get 48 hours in a 24-hour window, we're all going to be millionaires, because I'll take you all with me. I'd love to be able to figure that one out. But the whole point of this is that these different posts over time, get created. And so now you have access to them. What's really cool, and this speaks to, I think, Danielle, you were talking about this, is the syntax. So one of your things that you're looking at this, so you look at a post and you look at the activity. Here's what I do once I'm comfortable. I will schedule everything. I'll go to the schedule all option, and then I'll go through and unschedule or tweak or fix or edit. So if I was to make these posts, I'm not going to post them because this Beachbody and I don't coexist at this point, but as an example, but I would go through these and I would just post them. But notice the different graphics and the messages and the different pieces of this. So just, I wanted to just give you the sense for AIMI is not a short-term plan. AIMI is a long-term plan. So your involvement, whether it's a month-to-month program, whether you get involved now or even in 6 months from now, the one thing I will tell you, and this is not a FOMO kind of fear of missing out statement, AIMI is here to stay. It is a masterful tool. The developers and the people behind it are heartfelt people. They're solid human beings. So the reason that I put all my time and energy, and I built AIMI Education and all those other things, is because I know they're going to do the right thing, and they're going to help people. And certainly there's economics behind it, but I like helping good people. And so at my advanced senior moments, I'm like, hey, I want to work with people I like. And that's why I'm working with Nancy. I appreciate her. I respect her. I appreciate all your time. I would open it up for questions. And for those of you who have to go, I will share my contact information, I guess, in chat, if that's okay. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I'd love to help. So let me just do this. Wait. So on my information, this is my personal digital business card. I'll put it in chat for those of you who want to reach out to me. On the card is a connect, is my calendar. Oh, by the way, look at all these posts. These are all posts for Shapeshift, all done by AIMI. Yay. Inside of my digital card, here's my calendar. If for some reason I can help and serve you, this is my website. Here's my phone number. Let me know, because I'm really here to help make a difference. My goal is to help your clients and you and your clients. So thank you for listening. Questions, thoughts, comments? Come off mute, everybody.
Oh, excellent. Very informative, very helpful. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. This was great.
Awesome. Pleasure, ladies. And you know how to get a hold of me, and have a fabulous rest of your day.
You too.
Well, I do have a question before you leave.
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
You said you have training at 4 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
Do you have a link to that one?
Yeah, it's actually go to AIMI Education, AIMI.education, and it's all there. You can click on the link. You'll get the calendar. You'll get all that detail. AIMI.education. Let me just put it back on I'll share again, but I'll put it in chat actually.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's okay. I've got too many things going here. AIMI Education. There's my chat window. AIMI Education. So that should be the website, but here's what it looks like. And so on the website, the free training, go to the free training tab. And here's the webinar information. And then it's a page, which is AIMItraining.com. And you can click the link right at 4 o'clock and show up.
Okay.
Super easy, super easy. And then we do all the trainings inside of the app actually show up on another app, which is one of my apps. We have an AIMI Education app. So yeah, it's super fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Lorenzo.
Yeah, thank you, Stacey. Pleasure. Good to have you. Anna, any question?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, ladies, have a good one. Bye for
You
now.
too. Thanks. Bye.